What is up, y'all? Welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so excited to be sitting down and finally filming this video, all things homeschool, why I decided to homeschool, how I homeschool, and all of the ins and outs. So whether you're a homeschool mom or you're looking into it, I hope that this can be an informational video, but also just tell you a little bit about my story and why I believe the Lord called my family and I to homeschool. So there's so much to get into. Let me preface this with I am a first-time homeschooling mom. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and you can start preschool at 3, at 4. We decided to start this year because my daughter is so eager to learn, and we recently transitioned her out of a school that was very learning and curriculum focused. So while she was still in that flow, I wanted to take advantage of that and actually just start pre-K with her. Now, she does have a 1-year-old, almost 2-year-old brother who is with her on this ride, but is not technically being homeschooled yet. He's just picking up on the learning that we're doing, but my primary focus is schooling my 3-year-old daughter in our pre-K curriculum and lessons and all of the things that we're going to be getting into on this video. And I will be the first to admit that I did not think that I was qualified to be a homeschooling mom, to be a homeschooling teacher, to be whatever you want to call it. It honestly wasn't even something that was on my mind. Like, I felt like I was okay with just putting my kids in school, whether it would be a private school in the future, and kind of just allowing the teachers to teach. But over and over and over again, I was getting these little nudges in my spirit that I truly could not deny. I remember walking into my daughter's school one day and seeing her learning, and there was a part of my heart that almost like broke in a sense, because I was actually sitting at the table with her because my husband had went to do something in the front office. So I was kind of just sitting with her in her classroom, and I just saw all these little faces of children, and especially my daughter, just looking at me. And I just saw all of them as these tiny little image bearers of God who are so just moldable. And my heart just swelled up, and I was like, I want to disciple her. I want to teach her. I want to help her because she's so open to it. She wants to learn. She's excited to learn. And there was a part of me, a part of my heart that was so unfulfilled. Whether I wanted to admit it or not, I wanted to be the one that would disciple and raise up my child. And the reality is, whoever spends the most time with your child is the one who's speaking into them the most. And I wanted to be that person. My husband wants to be that person. Our family needs to be those people for our children. And I also know that this is what God called me to in this season. I can't speak for what's gonna happen 5-10 years from now, but I know at this very important age, like toddlerhood, early childhood, are such important and formative years. And I knew that I wanted to be the person to equip my children so that later down the road, if we do decide to do the traditional school route, they would be equipped for that. But right now, I know that she's definitely not, and we've got a lot of work to do. So all of this is coming from the perspective of someone who definitely was not expecting to homeschool, but now that I am, I have fallen in love with it. So in this video, I want to give you all of the helpful tips and tricks that I have learned along the way, as far as scheduling, the systems that we use, what type of curriculum we use, how our days kind of look, and just all of the ins and outs. This is really for moms who are just like trying to see like, what is this homeschool thing about? I hope this can shed some light on that.
But before we hop into all of that good stuff, I want to take a second to talk about our sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Of course, with any big change in life, specifically homeschooling for me and my family, comes a lot of big emotions. I mean, there's doubt, there's anxiety, there is fear, and I walked through all of those emotions. And though I gave God my yes, that didn't necessarily mean those emotions went away. I was truly like walking by faith when I gave God yes. I'm like, I'm gonna do it scared, I'm gonna do it anxious, I'm gonna do it when I feel like I'm unequipped. I'm giving you my yes, God, but I also need help. And more than ever, therapy has been a necessary resource for me in navigating all these emotions that come with change. And if you don't know, BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that is tailored around you and your schedule. So I find any little downtime in the week to take my therapy session. And the best thing is I can take it from the comfort of my home, because trying to schedule appointments around homeschool and around just children in general can be a little bit difficult, and I want therapy to feel like a good thing. Like I don't want it to feel like a burden. So that is an amazing perk about BetterHelp. And BetterHelp has over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 rating on Trustpilot. So it's definitely a platform that you can trust. Getting started is super easy. You just fill out a quick questionnaire so the platform can get to know you, get to know what type of therapist you're looking for, and you can be very specific down to race or religion. I personally found a Black Christian therapist who has been super helpful in this season of change. You can get matched with a licensed therapist in as little as a few days. Just click the link in my description or go to betterhelp.com/mayagraves to get 10% off of your first month of that.
All right, time to hop straight into this video. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is scheduling and our homeschool structure. Now, it is very important to note that you can do homeschool in whatever way fits for your family and is cohesive with your child's learning style. So I recently attended a homeschool seminar, and when I say, I feel like that was the moment where I was like, yes, God, like I'm doing this 100%. I heard from a speaker who's been a homeschool mom for, I think like over 15 years now. And she just gave such beautiful insight in how we have to almost like unlearn and relearn when it comes to school. Because I grew up in public school all of my life. So I am very used to, from this time to this time, we're doing this, and from this time to this time, we're doing this, and we're in a classroom setting all of this time, and we're in these 4 walls. This is how many times a week we're doing this, and it was very regimented and scheduled. And though I think that's great, but the beauty about homeschool is there's so much freedom, and you can make it your own, and you don't necessarily have to be so rigid. And this is where God worked on me a lot, because at first, like I wanted things to be so perfect, and we had to make sure everything was good and tight and we're staying on schedule. But God was like, this is your trial year. Like, be free, figure it out, go slow. Like, you don't have to rush this. It quite literally is a process, which is why I'm so grateful that I'm able to start from ground zero with pre-K. But even if you're starting at 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, girl, it could be 9th grade, make it your own. And also, you have to constantly combat like the mom guilt. And it's crazy because mom guilt is gonna come if you put your kids in school. Mom guilt's gonna come even if you take your kids out of school and you homeschool them, because now you're feeling like they're not getting the full experience. And this is where you just have to trust that if God spoke it to you, then He is going to not only show up for you, but also show up for your children. So all that goes to say, everyone's schedule is gonna look different, but here's how mine flows for our pre-K year. So we're aiming to hit 180 days of school, and that's the state regulation for Georgia. I don't know if it's for every state, but I know for Georgia it's 180 days. We don't actually have to hit 180 days. Pre-K is not state regulated by any means, and it's actually not required. But a lot of people put their children in pre-K because it's like the learning block before you get to kindergarten. So we're trying to hit 180 days just so we can get into that flow and routine when it comes to kindergarten, 1st grade, and grade school and beyond. So with that being said, we have settled on a 4-day school week. So Monday through Thursday, we're doing some type of intentional learning as well as learning as we go. And this is the most beautiful part with homeschool, because school goes far beyond a classroom. It goes far beyond a desk. Like, as I'm measuring out ingredients for a cake, I'm showing Genesis, hey, this is how you can measure. I'm showing her, hey, this is a cup, this is a half cup. And there's so many things that children learn, especially at this age, because they're little sponges, and it's far beyond just a classroom. But when it comes to like curriculum, we are doing that 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. Now, on a day-to-day basis, we are starting school at around 10 a.m. Is it 10 a.m. every single day? No, but I like some form of routine, especially because I still am working, so I have to fit in work at some point. So we like to start school a little bit later morning at 10 a.m. so nobody's rushed, and we are only schooling for an hour and a half. Will this change later down the road? I'm sure, but I'm working with a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, okay? And the 1-year-old, he's been 1-year-olding. That is all I can say. So with that being said, like, whatever we can get done that day, we get done, because at the end of the day, this is just a building block for us. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it's not meant to be perfect. We're supposed to learn, both of us, me and my daughter, along this journey. So we're trying to school for an hour and a half. We do from 10 to 11:30. And to break it down for you guys, every night I print out what our lesson plan is.
And we're going to hop into curriculum here in a second, but I want to talk about scheduling specifically right now. So every night I plan out our lesson plan, and this just gives me a structured idea of what we're going to be learning that day. But again, things can change. If she's interested in something more than something else, like we'll focus on that and all of those things. But all of this in totality takes us about an hour and a half. It's filled with a Bible story to start. We've got some songs to dance and get our energy out, because we definitely be needing to get our energy out in the morning. Then we go into like our lesson of the day. We've always got some handwriting in there, and that's something she's been really interested in and she's been doing great at. And of course we have some math and then just some language arts, and we finish with reading. When it comes to like the fundamentals of learning, mathematics and language arts are extremely important. So that's something I try to emphasize in every lesson that we're doing. So handwriting, counting, all of those things are really helpful down the road, because you can't start kindergarten curriculum or first grade curriculum until you get those fundamentals down. So that's really what we're focusing on. So when it comes to scheduling, we start at 10, we usually end at 11:30, and then we go downstairs, we have a little bit of lunch, maybe some outside time as well, and then they will go down for their nap. Now, homeschooling moms who still have some type of like side hustle or even work, I would definitely recommend implementing a quiet time in your house. Girl, when I say the quiet time has changed my life, it's quiet time right now. Do you hear it? It's quiet, okay? My kids know from 12 to 2:30, it's quiet time. The good thing is my son, he's usually taking a nap. My daughter will take a nap like the first hour or hour and a half, and then she'll either color, she'll read or look at books. She'll listen to her story box. We've got this little Tony box that is incredible. I feel like every homeschool mom needs this, but we don't do screen time during quiet time. It is literally like, do something you like, but do it quietly. And my daughter has now gotten into this rhythm where she's used to it. She knows every day there's quiet time, and that's when I'm able to work, because that's the balance. Okay, yes, I'm homeschooling. Yes, I want to give my children all of the attention that I possibly can, but I also have to work. So when it's time for me to homeschool, I'm not even near my phone. My phone is literally downstairs. I'm not even near technology. Like, my sole focus is my children. But then when that work block starts, I have to zone in and I have to focus. And I'm so grateful that my daughter is working with me on this, because she will just sit and color, or she'll just sit and read her book, and it's been helpful. Now, obviously, will this last for, I don't know, a year when she turns 4? Who knows? I'm not worried about that right now, okay? I'm just trying to get to tomorrow. Honestly, I'm just trying to finish today, okay? Hopping into the next topic, curriculum. Something that every mom, especially first-time homeschooling moms, are anxious about, and I know that I was, because, oh my goodness, the overwhelming amount of curriculum is crazy. The good thing is, because we're starting pre-K, and this video is catered towards like pre-K moms, you can test out a curriculum for the year, and if you like it, or even like 6 months, 3 months, whatever, and if you like it, then great, you'll take that style of curriculum into the next year. But if you don't, you can always change it up, and it's totally fine. But we ended up settling on the good and the beautiful for our pre-K curriculum. I have some of our materials right here that I will show you guys. So this is like our bread and butter when it comes to learning. This is the preschool course book, and it's filled with 90 lessons, from mathematics to language arts, colors, letters and sounds, matching, motor skills, like I said, numbers, rhyming, shapes, and sorting. I really like this. And it also comes with, give me 1 second, let me grab it for y'all, this folder activity that is filled with a whole bunch of additional activities that the preschool course book will like guide you to. So lessons are super doable for a preschooler, which I love. They're not overwhelming. Like, let me give you an example of a lesson. This is what a lesson would look like. They're usually like 2 pages, 2 to 3 pages. So in this one, you're learning about uppercase and lowercase letters. You're learning how to count. You're learning a little bit of cutting. So very practical and fundamental things. So I love the preschool course book because it literally gives you, like, if you need a step-by-step, you're gonna love this. So love that about that. And then it also came with some practice sheets. I think these are like all of the letters and matching. There's so many things in these practice sheets. So love that. But then we have some additional materials. One of our favorites is the doodles and pre-writing for littles. This has helped us significantly when it comes to handwriting, and you do it all within the book, which I really like. And we also have the poetry parties. We haven't started this one yet, but I took a look at it and I really like it because it's a fun like crafting type of book. If you love to do crafts with your kids, it'll walk you through crafts and like themes and things like that. So we are going to be getting into this very soon. I grabbed a couple flip books. These were really for Ezra because Jenna's definitely got this down by now, but this one is just about matching, and you can match all of the different butterflies and just find its match and all the things. So this is a fun little book that Jenna's actually done during her quiet time sometimes, but now she's kind of bored with it. So transition this one over to Ezra, and the same thing with this beetle one. This beetle one is also matching. And then we have the insect and spider mazes. This is one we haven't used yet. Honestly, really been in like the preschool course book, and then I've been adding some additional fun stuff here and there, but I think we're definitely gonna start getting into this stuff because Jenna loves little activities like this and just great for motor skills. So excited to dive into that. But yeah, all of our curriculum is the good and the beautiful, and they are a Christian based brand, but the curriculum isn't necessarily faith forward, if that makes sense. Like faith is not at the forefront of the learning because I don't know, that's just the style they went about. But for me, faith is always going to be at the forefront of how we learn. So like I said, doing little things like adding a Bible story or just connecting. Like we've been focusing on plants this week. So I'm always talking about like the story of creation and how plants were made and how God crafted everything. So just little things like that to make it more catered towards our family and our beliefs. But far beyond curriculum, just like with any schooling, you need lots of just supplies. So scissors, colored paper, little fun like tinsels and little fluffies and googly eyes, all of those things, because we do a lot of crafts. That is something that really gets my daughter's attention. So we do a whole lot of crafts. So I would just have a whole craft bin on hand. It's gonna be super helpful. Play-Doh, girl, get you some Play-Doh. Play-Doh will be your best friend. We do everything with Play-Doh. I mean, we had these little seeds that were actually like little beads that we like would bury in the Play-Doh, and we were pretending like the Play-Doh was our soil and the seeds were gonna grow into these big flowers or big watermelons, or we were just using our imagination for all of these things. Whiteboards is a really good thing to have, like the small little whiteboards with some dry erase markers. That's great for handwriting. And as far as our setup goes, we have like a little schoolroom. So it's actually like our upstairs loft area. And I just have like my desk where I have all of my materials and all of the things. And the kids have their own desk as well, but of course they're able to sit with each other if they want. We've got our whiteboard, which is like so necessary. We're not doing any type of like smartboard yet. I think when they get into grade school, or at least when Genesis gets into grade school, we'll definitely get a smartboard. But for right now, we just have our traditional whiteboard and it's been working great. And we've got our little reading nook, which I love. And then some toy areas over here for like independent playtime. So that's our little schoolroom. It's nothing huge, but it's definitely already had so many memories in it. And I love this area. It's so peaceful, it's so calm, and it's definitely conducive to like a learning environment. So love this area. And I also wanted to note another thing when it comes to curriculum. Very rarely do homeschool moms, and this is stuff that I've learned at the homeschooling conference, very rarely will you get an audit when it comes to like how you've been homeschooling your child. From my understanding, the only thing needed from a legal standpoint to homeschool is your declaration of intent that you would submit to your county. But we're not there yet because again, pre-K is not something that's required, so we don't have to send that yet. But when we start kindergarten, actually I think with Georgia, it's actually first grade, but then we're moving to Ohio. I think Ohio is kindergarten, so I'll have to look into that, but that's something to come. But as far as like your bookkeeping, I would still keep record of all of your lessons and all those things, because if, you know, by chance you do get an audit, you want to make sure that all of your things are in order. So we're already getting into that rhythm. Anytime we finish one of these lesson plans, I sign it, I date it, and I file it away into our little filer. And that way it just keeps things nice and tidy. Okay, next topic I want to chat about is just creative learning, because yes, I've talked about a lot of curriculum, but again, that is like a very small portion of our learning. A lot of our learning just comes from everyday life. We could be in the park and we can be looking at little bugs, even though I'm not really a bug person, but I'm trying to be a bug person for these kids. In the grocery store, learning more about letters and math. And I even had this activity where I brought Jenna to the store and she had $3 and she had to figure out, you know, what she can get for $3. And we learned about tax. And obviously she's 3 years old. Like, is she totally grasping these things? No, but it's the whole intent behind what I'm doing. So your learning doesn't have to just stop here. Like, invite your children into everything you do. Invite them into cooking. Now, is this ideal? Is it gonna slow you down? Yes, it will. But guess what? That is the point. And that's what the Lord showed me and spoke to my heart. He was like, if you wanna get something done quickly, do it by yourself. But if you want to build long-lasting memories, invite your children into that. Jenna's gonna remember, I used to cook with my mom all the time. I used to do this with my mom all the time. I used to read with her all the time. Like, those are core memories that I am forming. And are they an inconvenience sometimes? Yes. But I think anything worthwhile is an inconvenience to some capacity. So that is something that God has been showing me. And of course, it's never perfect. You're constantly having to pray and asking God to search your heart, but it is so well worth it in the end. Another topic I want to hit on, though every homeschooling mom is not a Christian or a believer in Jesus, I'm just speaking from my experience and what I believe to be the truth. Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. And I will say that inviting the Lord into this process and this journey is just, I don't even know if I can put it into words. Like, there are days, and I remember the first day where I had a moment where I was like, oh wait, I actually don't want to do this right now. Like, it was like you kind of like ride that high for a while and you're super excited and like there's no resistance and your heart is so happy, and then you have one of those days where it's like, oh, I don't feel like being a happy, giddy teacher, jumping up and down and singing songs. But Lord, help me. And homeschooling is one of those things that will show you. I feel like just like early motherhood will show you about yourself, homeschooling, it will show you about yourself. So just inviting God into this very special and sacred part of your life is not just helpful, but I believe it's a necessity. Like, allowing the Holy Spirit to teach you so you can teach your children is just something that's so beautiful, and definitely something that I have been doing because I can't do this by myself. Okay, one of the last things I want to talk about is just breaking the stigma of homeschool, because I feel like there's definitely a lot of stigma when it comes to homeschool. And I can say, before I opened my heart up to homeschool, I was definitely a part of that, girl. I was like, yeah, I don't know about them homeschool kids now, and I don't know about them homeschool moms now. But here I am being a whole homeschool mom. So look at the irony. Like I've said, because you can make homeschool your own, there's no one way to do it. So we cannot like quantify homeschool as just one thing, and just because someone homeschools their kid one way means everybody does that. It's just not true. So the whole thing of, you know, children being socially awkward or yada yada yada, I know a lot of kids that have been in public school and they are very socially awkward, and I get it, right? Like, the heart behind it, sometimes certain homeschooled parents do shy their kids away from other kids, but for me, that's just not even my heart. We are community based in everything that we do. So if that's your heart as well, like, don't let that fear hold you back, you know? Like, your child can still experience life even if they're homeschooled. And in my opinion, it could be life more abundantly and beautifully. And I think that even in the past month of me homeschooling, my children have had more interactions with other children than even when they were going to school. And it's been intentional interactions, and it's been wholesome interactions, and I've been there for all of those interactions. So that is just a stigma that definitely needs to be talked about, and it can cause a lot of fear in people who are looking into homeschool. But if you're doing it God-led, and if you're doing it with wisdom, it's not something to worry about, girl. Okay, that was a lot. That was a whole lot. I feel like I have a lot more to say, but I don't want this video to be too long. So I hope you can grasp some things that I talked about. Now, listen, I'm a first-time mom. I don't got this figured out. Nobody has it figured out. Everybody gonna tell you they have it figured out. They don't have it figured out. But I do want to know from you guys, especially the moms who've been homeschooling for a while, just leave in the comments some of the things you wish someone would have told you before starting homeschool, starting pre-K, kindergarten, whatever year it is. Let us know in the comments below, because I know that's gonna be not just helpful for me, but helpful for a lot of moms out there. And at the end of the day, if you are doing the best you can, then that is enough, girl.
You are not perfect. You are not meant to be perfect. You are just meant to keep on showing up. And I think even watching this video just shows your heart. You're seeking, you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to be the best mom you can. And I'm so proud of you for that. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you guys liked it. And again, make sure to flood the comments with all of the wisdom and tools that we all need. All right, girl, I'll see you next video. Bye.